Hello and thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. My name is Chelsea Goriello and I also go by Honey Gold for those of you who know me personally. And today I just wanted to tell you a little bit about me and my life and how I've gotten to where I am today. Just like you and millions of other women out there, I'm sure, we have a lot in common. Doesn't matter what walk of life we come from, doesn't matter how we were raised or what beliefs we have. At the end of the day, life is life, and we all go through things good and bad. So, as you may know, I'm a dropshipper. I make money online with e-commerce, specifically dropshipping. For those of you who are unaware, dropshipping is selling products online with zero inventory. Dropshipping has changed my life completely. There's no other way to put it. Without dropshipping, I would probably still be living check to check, gig to gig, hustle to hustle. That's the truth. So before I get too far deep into, how I got into where I'm at right now, I want to give you a little bit of background, if that's okay with you. So about 5 years ago, I was living in Atlanta, Georgia, and I had graduated college with a degree in criminal justice and psychology. And I relocated from Tallahassee, where I went to FSU, go Noles, and I decided to embark on a journey as a woman new to the real world, and I felt like Atlanta was the best place for me to settle my roots and kind of see what all the world had to offer me. It went great for the first few years until I got into a relationship. And as y'all know, as women especially, sometimes we get into relationships that, for lack of a better word, ruin our lives or set us back years and years and years. Okay, and this was one of those relationships. So here I am, after busting my butt for all these years to graduate with the degree in less than 4 years. I find myself in a relationship, not using the degree that I just found, not found, but the degree that I had just busted my ass to obtain. I was going job to job, chasing a check at the end of the day. I was money driven, always have been, always will be. Money is what motivates me, and having financial freedom is what motivates me. And I realized very quickly that a job in my field wasn't gonna cut it. So that's what led me to taking basically job after job, hustle after hustle, until I was able to acquire the amount of money that satisfied my life. So I got into this relationship and it was horrible. Okay, it was absolutely horrible. It started off great, started off amazing, how it usually does in the beginning. Next thing you know, my money is running low. I was in an abusive relationship. I'll just call it what it is. Never in a million years did I think that being the ambitious, smart, educated woman that I had been my whole life, I never thought that I would allow myself to be in a relationship like that. I was ashamed. I'm still ashamed and still battling those issues, but that's another story, another time for another day. But I found myself in a place that was very, very dark, and it made me feel very alone. And it made me feel like basically the only thing I had real control over is the amount of money that I could call my own. And at the time, because I was dealing with someone who was in and out of jail for doing petty crimes, in and out of horrible situations, I found that every dollar I was working so hard to achieve was going towards making sure that I could provide an environment for the person that I loved that was a safe one and that was a happy one. as the nurturer that we are as women naturally, we so often give so much to other people and rarely get even a percentage of that back in return. And so I spent 2 years in a horribly abusive relationship that drained me not only mentally, but financially as well. And so fast forwarding, I ended up getting into such a bad situation that I was forced to basically relocate across the country, which is how I ended up in Los Angeles. So a lot of people don't know that. I'm not from LA. I live here now, and this was always my dream to reside in Los Angeles. It was always my dream, being a girl from New York on the East Coast. It's like you think of LA and you're like, oh, movies and glamour, glitz, red carpet, and that's always been the life that I wanted. But somehow being in a relationship like that, those goals just seem further and further and further away from what was a possibility for me. So here I am now with nothing. A few garbage bags that could fit in my small 2-door beat down, run down car. My makeup kit, because at the time I was a makeup artist. I left with nothing. I started over from scratch. I left a fully furnished, beautiful apartment that I had created for me and my boyfriend at the time, now ex, or at the time he was my ex because I left. But, you know, I had basically poured my heart and soul into a life for us that ended up crashing and burning. So because of that situation, not only was I dead broke, but my credit was shot. Why? Because I had to leave everything. My cars, everything. I didn't know how I was gonna pick up the pieces. I didn't know how I would ever make this work. But I did. And now I wanna share it with you. So I moved to LA, like I said, with my makeup kit and some clothes and a bunch of garbage bags that could fit in my 2-door car. I came out here and I was super focused, super ambitious, all while dealing with the post-traumatic stress of everything I had endured. And I was alone. There were times where I didn't know how I would figure it out, if I would figure it out. I lived out of a hotel, a motel, for a few weeks, quite a few weeks, until I could do enough odd jobs to get a real apartment. My first apartment was in Koreatown, Los Angeles. I convinced the landlord to give me a studio apartment for as low as he would possibly go, which was $1,100, which to me, I had never paid anything more than $600-700 coming from Atlanta. Times were hard. Times were hard. I lived on an air mattress, or slept on an air mattress for a good 6-7 months before I could afford a real mattress, which I slept on the floor for another few months until I could get a bed. My life hasn't been easy. My mom raised me better, and because I knew that, I refused to involve her. Because of the shame, the guilt, I dealt with it by myself, like I know so many of you are. I'm here to tell you that I figured it out, and you can too. If you're in a situation that you don't want to be in, if money has you feeling strapped to something that you know you don't deserve to have to deal with, there are options. You just have to take action. I was lucky enough to land my first real big gig here in Los Angeles very shortly after I moved here. For that, I will forever be grateful. For that, I will always, always, I don't care how much money I make, I don't care where I'm living, I will always be there for certain clients because they gave me a shot before anybody else gave me a shot. And because of that, so many doors have opened. So I say that to say, I've now graduated from being a celebrity makeup artist to a full-time e-commerce marketer. So after that relationship, I vowed to myself that I would never, ever deal with anybody on a caliber like that. Not an abuser, not someone who enjoyed being in and out of prison, not someone who didn't respect women, not someone who held every gift, everything over my head. I would never be in a situation that I didn't want to be in, period, because of money. Never. I would have my own money. I didn't care how I got it. I was gonna get it, and I would be self-sufficient, period. And so I spent a lot of time alone trying to figure out how I was gonna make that happen. I worked hard as a makeup artist. I saved my money. I did what I had to do, and I lived on my own here in LA. And it wasn't easy, but I did it. So fast forward a few years, I got into another relationship. This one kind of came from left field. My best friend, while I was living in Atlanta, going through everything I was going through with my abusive ex-boyfriend, I had a friend all along. And you know, this friend, like I said, my pride didn't allow me to tell anybody what I was really going through. So he had no idea. Nobody had any idea. This friend and I were super close. Trusted him with everything, talked to him about just about anything, our goals. We were best friends. Well, unfortunately, he went to prison, and he was locked up for a couple years. Well, just so happened, he was coming home from prison, and he decided he was gonna relocate to Los Angeles. So me and his twin conspired to surprise him. And so on his first day home, I was there, boom, surprise. And when I tell you fireworks went off, all along, I just felt like, oh my gosh, the person who has been right under my nose this whole time, we've been best friends at that point for almost 7-8 years. I just felt in my heart, this is who I was supposed to be with. And I had to take a step back for a second, because I was like, Chelsea, what are you doing? You're doing exactly what you did before. This is a felon at the end of the day. Like, what are you doing? What he had that my ex didn't have was a real ambition to win. Not just, you know, that trait, that cockiness that every guy has. Oh, I'm gonna be a millionaire. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. He came home with plans. He came home with a mindset that no amount of money would equal. A mindset. A mindset is something that no matter if you had $0, negative $1 million, you would still make it out the mud, because your mind is strong. That's why I knew right then and there that was gonna be the person that I marry, the person that I have a child with, and the person I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. I had never been so drawn and attracted to someone ever in my entire life. And to make it all, to add the cherry on top, he came home with $0. And even then I knew he was the one. My best friend all along, he was the one. So life started to move. We're now in a relationship. At the time we decided, you know what, let's make this official. Let's do the damn thing. Reality hit us really quick. As much as our love was so strong for one another, he couldn't find work anywhere. And being a felon for a financial crime, money is all he knew. Fast money is all he knew. And the streets is all he knew. As a woman, I didn't know how to counter those thoughts without something better to offer. I was a makeup artist at the end of the day. What the hell was I gonna do with that? That was barely enough for me to survive on my own in LA, let alone carrying the weight of 2 people. Very quickly, things got crazy. We had bills to pay, we had rent to pay, and all those great dreams he had, at the end of the day, when you're out in the real world and you're fresh home from prison, implementing those dreams is a whole lot harder than we thought. So I turned to books. I started reading book after book after book. I got real familiar with people like Tony Robbins, Dale Carnegie. I got real familiar with millionaires and billionaires and the mentality that they possessed. And I had to get really in tune with what I was doing on my day-to-day and what they were doing on their day-to-day. And they were very different. So I had to make some changes. I decided to read. I decided to wake up early. And I decided to go back to being a student. Not a student in school, no. A student for myself. A student for the real world. I was in search of wisdom and direction, and these books helped me get there. So, dropshipping. Where did dropshipping come from? I read about it in a book, believe it or not. It got to the point where we were so desperate to make money that I had no other options. I had to find a way. I opened a book one day that mentioned dropshipping, and I said, you know what? I'm on my last, but something in my gut just told me, this is your answer. This is what's gonna take you out the game. So I started doing my research. Got on YouTube, university. You know, I couldn't call anybody. I didn't even know anybody in real life that made money online. I didn't know if it was real, if it was a scam, I didn't know. So I go on YouTube and I'm just searching and I'm noticing all these 17, 18, 19-year-old boys talking about dropshipping, e-commerce, Shopify, what? All these words, it felt like a new language. Then I go on Instagram and I'm noticing that everybody I just watched on YouTube were friends. They were all affiliated with one another, commenting, supporting each other. And I'm like, wait, now I really didn't think it was a real thing. There were no women. I didn't see any women talking about it on YouTube. I was confused, I was lost. I didn't know what to do. So I didn't take action. I continued to research, continued to read, but I didn't take action. Why? Because I was scared, just like most of you are. I was scared. I didn't have anybody holding my hand or making me guarantees. Then all of a sudden, through the months I spent researching, somebody reached out to me and they said, I'm a drop shipper. I make $240,000 a month and I'll teach you. Pay me $3,000 and I'll show you the ropes. I said, what? How much? Boy, bye. Ciao, boo. Like, that sounded crazy. And right then and there, I was like, this is a scam. Dropshipping is not real. I felt played. I felt tried. I felt angry. I felt mad. Granted, in hindsight, my mentality was all wrong. I was doing all the right things. I was researching. I was learning. But I had never invested in myself before. I was a makeup artist. Makeup artists don't really have to invest in themselves. You buy some makeup, which we love anyway, and we get out there and we hit the road. Maybe pay some business cards, that's it. I had never paid anybody else for a service of knowledge. To me, that was like, who does that? They all do it. That's the secret. They all do it. All the billionaires, all the millionaires, they all do it. That's what people like us don't know. That's the secret. They're all sharing knowledge with one another. They're all helping each other get ahead. They're all investing in themselves to learn what they don't already know so they can have a shortcut at life. And that's what I needed, but I didn't know I needed. So I convinced myself, my hard-headed ass, that I would continue, and I was good enough and I was smart enough to figure it out on my own. So Time is money, right? I didn't really understand that at the time either. So I spent the next 6 months broke as hell trying to figure it out and be a student learning dropshipping from YouTube University. I blew thousands of dollars that I didn't have. I ran up credit cards. I spent thousands of dollars, guys. I ran through my savings. I was on my last, and I decided I was gonna invest. Screw it. I was gonna invest. I was gonna spend my last on this mentor. I had blown $1,700 that month already, okay? There were 10 days left of the month, and I said, screw it. $1,700 down, 12 days left of the month. I remember, 12 days left of the month. He called me. Hey, you still need my help? You still interested? And I said, you know what? Yeah, I am. Here's your money. That was the scariest moment of my life. It was my last. It was my last. I took action, and from that day forward, my life changed. In those 12 days, I made $3,700, which isn't crazy, but it covered up for the losses that I took, and it gave me hope. It told me I could do this. It told me this was real. It's not a scam. It told me that all it was gonna take is for me to learn from someone who had been there, done that. All those mistakes I made, I could have avoided them. All those thousands of dollars I spent, I could have avoided that. My first full month working, using the strategies that my mentor taught me, I made $22,000. $22,000. I had never seen $22,000 in my life. The second month, I made $44,000. I remember hearing those sales go off. I remember crying out of just tears of joy. I could not believe it. 4 months later, I had $120,000 in sales. My whole world changed, period. I'm here to tell you, I'm just like you. I've been there, I made it through, and you will too. I'll never depend on a man, ever again. My baby will never have to go through the things that I went through if I could help it. I'm for the people. I'm for people like you. I want you to know you don't have to be born into money. You don't have to go to school for money to learn how to do things that are in books. All it takes is a will and a drive to want more for you. Nobody is gonna hand you anything. Nobody is gonna give you anything. You gotta go out and get it, like I got it. Get it out the mud. I don't care if you're working for $5 an hour, save those $5 and make it happen. Take action. That's the only thing out of all these books, the one thing that they all had in common is they took action. How to become a millionaire, how to become wealthy. You find out, you get exposed to something that you didn't know, and you execute it. You make a plan and you execute it. It's easy to talk. You got to take action. Sign up for my webinar. Register for my webinar. And I'm going to teach you exactly what I did to make 6 figures in 6 months. I'm going to show you that everything you've been talking yourself out of is attainable. You can do it. I did it. I didn't have any previous experience. I was a makeup artist, okay? Everything that you're scared of, I'm gonna show you, you don't have to be scared of it anymore. They want us to think you have to have business credit. They want us to think you gotta be an influencer in order to make sales and to be popular. They want you to think that you need a business loan to get a nice fancy storefront. They want you to think that that you have to be broke, that you have to live paycheck to paycheck, that living a lavish lifestyle, driving fancy cars, living in a mansion, taking dream trips, working from your laptop anywhere in the world, they want you to think that that's for people not like you. I'm here to tell you it's for you. It's for you. It's for your kids. It's for your future. And creating generational wealth is something that you can do. And I'm going to show you what introduced me to this whole new world of making money online. And that's dropshipping. I hope you join me for my webinar. I hope you really see that my one and only goal is to show people like you, show people like my boyfriend, who is now a CEO, felon turned CEO. How often, where do they do that at? Right here, right here. And sometimes, unfortunately, it starts with the woman. It starts with us breathing life into people who don't see it for themselves all the time. Sometimes that's just our goal, and I feel, or not our goal, but our purpose. And I genuinely feel like that is my purpose. I feel like God put me on this earth to show other people that they can do whatever they want to do if they want it bad enough. So take action, click that button, register for my webinar, and let me expose you to something that will change your life. Thanks for watching.